Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is your buddy, your pal, London Hawthorne, and I am here with a video that I've been wanting to do for a really, really long time. I just kind of been putting it off. I wanted to wait till I move, but I decided I can't wait any longer. I actually did this video yesterday with 15, aka 16 names, but I decided it just wasn't enough. After talking with some friends at work, I had some more ideas. Thanks to my buddy Stripes, aka Gabe. He gave me some suggestions, and I couldn't believe that I forgot some of these people. So I spent over 16 minutes on the video yesterday, and I'm like, delete, because I want to include some of the best, most unique superstars who never, ever held the WWE Heavyweight Championship, or whatever you want to call it, WWE title, World Heavyweight title. They may have held the ECW title or the WCW title or some other organization's title, but as far as I know, I could be wrong. I'm sure there's going to be some fellow super wrestling fans that are going to correct me, but they never held the big title in the WWE for some reason or another. Like I said, I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me, but this is the 25, not just 15, of my favorite superstars who never held the title. Some I'll go in more detail than others, but the rankings, it's kind of hard to rank these guys because they're all awesome in their own right. But my number 25 pick is William Regal, Lord Steven Regal, whatever you want to call him. Darren Matthews, one of the greatest superstars to ever hit the squared circle. He won that King of the Ring, and he had a great, awesome feud going, and he almost got the title, and it was phenomenal. I've been a fan of him since WCW. Just a phenomenal talent. I'm actually reading his autobiography at the moment, not literally right now, but you get the idea. Just a sensational wrestler. You're going to hear me say sensational a lot. I'm going to try to use my verbs sparingly. I'm going to try to think of new ones. I don't know. But really great, great talent. If you've seen him live, you know he puts on a hell of a show. He is a classically trained wrestler. Wonderful, wonderful talent. So he's my 25 pick. Number 24. These are all out of order. I have the Man-Beast Rhino. I know he held the ECW title, but I don't believe he ever held the WWE Heavyweight title. Really, really good talent. If you've seen him lately, he's lean and mean, and he is a machine. I actually get to meet him on this Saturday, on November 2nd. I'm really excited to. He's main eventing a cancer benefit show, but throughout the end of ECW and the WWE ECW, he did a wonderful job. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he can really move, and he's a dominating force. His problem probably was his mic skills weren't the best, but he's got a wonderful talent. I think if he had been given more of a chance to spread his wings, he would have done an awesome job carrying the strap. Wonderful, wonderful talent. Can't wait to meet him. My number 23 pick. This may come as a surprise, but I picked Kama Mustafa, a.k.a. the Good Father, a.k.a. the Godfather, a.k.a. Papa Shango. Papa Shango was one of the first characters that I remember watching when I was 2 or 3 years old. That's right, 2 or 3 years old. Who scared me, who terrified me. I remember him making the Ultimate Warrior bleed oil, black crude, and I was so terrified. I didn't know what to think. And he could really wrestle. He could really put over someone like Ultimate Warrior. No offense, Warrior. But he could really make him look like a superstar, if you will. He had different character variations throughout his tenure. I think his Kama character in the $1 Million Corporation was pretty good. But I think his Papa Shango character as that mad witch doctor was an awesome 80s character. Didn't really trend well into the 90s, but I think he could have held that strap. He could have done it. He could have been a villain to fear. He was a villain to fear, but with that title, Hulkamania could have went down. I'm just kidding. But really big fan. Good Father, not so much. Godfather, that's his go-to character currently. Really good. Number 22, you're seeing him. Most of these guys, with the exception of this guy right here, are currently not on the active WWE roster, but this is the one exception, and I picked Goldust. Phenomenal talent. He's 5 years plus sober, and he's doing a wonderful job. He's stealing matches right now. Show stealing matches rather. Currently on Monday Night Raw with his brother Cody. Really, really amazing talent. I remember not knowing what was going on in his debut with the Intercontinental Championship, that whole thing. I think that character right there could have really, really been a villain to watch and see, and make all the good guy superstars fear and tremble and chase that title. I really wish he could have maintained that character, but he's going with that Darth Dusk kind of gimmick now. He had that silly thing with Booker T, but that got him over with the crowd a lot. Transcended. Then you look at Seven, that shoot interview. That's the shoot heard around the world in WCW. He's the natural Dustin Rhodes. That's the first time I actually ever saw him. I didn't really put two and two together that it was him when I was younger, 7 or 8 years old. But I remember that Bunkhouse Brawl match. That was one of the first matches I remember seeing him in. But amazing talent. 5 years sober. I give him all the credit in the world. Really wonderful talent, and I hope he maintains his sobriety, and I hope to get to meet him, work a show with him. Really great talent right here. Number 21, I've got Ron Simmons. Yes, he was the first, I believe, African-American WCW heavyweight champ, but he never got the strap in WWE. He debuted as Farouk, I believe, with the whole gladiator style thing. That didn't really work, and he was a wonderful tag team champ with the APA. But I kind of think that if he had been given a chance, he could have held the strap really and done a great job. A real knowledgeable guy of the business, and him now as Damn. Then we've got number 20. I've got Ain't No Stopping Me. Oh, Shelton Benjamin. This guy, he got two wins out of Triple H, and that's amazing. Not many people can say they beat Triple H twice. I know some of the nerds are going to be like, well, actually, Shawn Michaels, and actually, whatever. But for Shelton Benjamin, at his stage in his career, to beat Triple H twice, or was it 3 times, is amazing. He's a very, very talented wrestler. Obviously, you've watch him in Ring of Honor. He's killing it. Him and Charlie Haas. A lot of people use euphemisms like I'm the best and all that jazz. But when they say world's greatest tag team, they're one of the world's greatest tag teams. I wish they had scrapped Mama Benjamin, Thelma, and just got him going. He could have done it. He could have been a champ. Wonderful talent. Wonderful talent. Number 19, let me find 19 on my list. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Tajiri, the Japanese buzzsaw. I don't think there've ever been a Japanese champ. I could be wrong, but I guess you could say Yokozuna, but he was actually Samoan. But Tajiri was really wonderful. He had all these innovative moves, and he was Japanese. I think his thing is that he wasn't the best speaker on the mic, obviously, but he had a very interesting gimmick. He took some liberties with the great Muta, miss, but, the spider web and all these great movesets. He was a very unique, talented guy, and he definitely was one of my favorite superstars, and I could definitely see him do some damage. I know he was very homesick and he wanted to go back to Japan, and I can completely understand and respect that. Number 18, we have, I'm drawing a blank. We have DDP Bang. This guy, He was one of the best WCW champs in my opinion. But they really squandered him in WWE. They made him this crazy stalker. They got his teeth whitened, which is fine. That's fine. But, what are they doing with this? Why not have him be something that the reiteration of what he was in WCW was great. And, obviously he was in WWE or whatever as the limo driver back in the day. But they really squandered his character. He could have been a contender. He's a very talented guy. I know that he basically ended his career on his own because he had severe injuries. But I definitely would have liked to have seen more than just the stalker character. That being said, they did put him with one of the most popular characters, Undertaker, so, what have you. Then we have number 17, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. I don't believe he ever held the title. Very unique talent. I believe he's Samoan, right? He definitely could have held the strap. He was definitely popular enough. Mick Foley's favorite wrestler at the time. Very good talent. 16. We have Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Now I got to meet him 2 years ago, and then I saw him again. So I've seen him twice, 2 summers in a row, basically. He's a cancer survivor. He's in awesome shape for his age, and for being a cancer survivor, I give him so much respect. And he won the first ever Royal Rumble. Is that correct? Battle Royal, whatever. He is what he is. He's got a simple character, simple red-blooded American character, and he does it really, really well. I really enjoy him, and I always have a great time with his matches. Then, number 15, we've got the bad guy, Razor Ramon, a.k.a. Scott Hall. If you go back to his AWA matches, this guy was killing it. Unfortunately, drugs and alcohol got in his way and kind of squandered his career and his attitude, and he went to WCW, and I definitely would have liked it to turn out a little bit differently. I think when he went to WCW, the power got to him, and I definitely could have happened differently, but his Razor Ramon character definitely could have made it big time. And then when they brought him back in WWE for the short-lived NWO, it was just All right, number 14, the loose cannon, Flying Brian Pillman, one of the most amazing, talented guys, taken way too soon. This guy, so emotionally invested that I should say. I sound like Yoda for a second. But the Stone Cold Steve Austin storyline was amazing. This guy was just ahead of his time. He was a really phenomenal talent. One of the most interesting characters. In my opinion, he's probably the start of the Attitude Era, really. This guy, when I think of Attitude Era, I think of him, I think of Stone Cold. And that was one of the most wonderful feuds of all time in WWE, in my opinion. Definitely taken very, very far to the extreme, the gun thing. But he could really captivate you in his matches. And, wonderful. Dean Malenko is number 13, the Iceman, the man of 1,000 holds. Obviously his WCW career, he was a trendsetter in that cruiserweight division. He just a really wonderful talent. His problem is just his size. He's a smaller guy, more average size man, but his mind for the business is just phenomenal. He's still a part of WWE to get today, and he helps put together the amazing matches you see in WWE. When he came in with the Radicals, it was a really interesting storyline. It was kind of split up. Obviously Eddie got big, and then obviously Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko is just a wonderful talent who's willing to put over other people before himself, and selfless superstar right there. One of the best. You go back and you can watch any WCW cruiserweight match he had, any WWE cruiserweight match he had. Wonderful, wonderful talent, and you're going to be entertained for sure. Number 12, Big Van Vader. This is one of the guys that I actually forgot did not have the title. This is one of the guys I left out in my video yesterday, and I'm going to be honest. Because I thought he had the title. I had to go back, and like I said, Stripes, my buddy Stripes, Gabe, he told me, no, Vader had the title. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I had to look it up on Wikipedia. Because I just can't believe this guy didn't have the title. It was one of the first memories in WCW I had of being terrified. I saw him with that Mastodon helmet. It was just amazing. And for a big guy, he could move and he could dominate the matches. And he was just he is a wonderful talent. He came back, to feud with that one night with Heath Slater, and the crowd ate him up. They loved him, and you could tell he loves it. This is what he's invested in. His oldest son. I'm not sure how many sons he has actually, but one of his sons is trying his best to get into business, and he's got a great lineage right there. Vader could have made it huge in WWE, but yeah. Number 11, let me find. I've got Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog. When you think of pro wrestler in the late 80s, early 90s, what their body type was, Davey Boy Smith was perfection. He had the move set, he had the look, really good talent. Unfortunately, it's like a Samson style thing. When he got his hair cut, he kind of lost the luster, I think. Obviously drugs and alcohol got to him, unfortunately. But, he was really, really one of my favorites. And, he had a lot of good, for being a powerhouse guy, he definitely could captivate you for sure. For being as big as he was, he could really move, and he could put, that slam was just epic. I miss that guy. He was really good. Same could be said for my number 10, Rick Rude. Ravishing Rick Rude, managed by the best manager of all time, probably you could say, is Bobby Heenan. Rick Rude was phenomenal. Talk about heat. You want to know what heat is? Watch a Rick Rude promo. Sweat hog, hashtag sweat hog. Amazing talent. He went above and beyond because he would have these custom-made, awesome tights, trunks that were almost every big match he had. He would have these trunks made, and he would just totally downgrade his opponent and put on one hell of a match. He had the look, he had the body, he had the mic skills. This guy was a perfect athlete right here. Gone way too soon. Then let me see where we're at. That was number 10. Number 9, we are at Earthquake. This is another wrestler that I couldn't believe didn't have the title, because I could have swore he had the title. Thanks, Gabe. Earthquake was one of the best big men you could ever imagine. John Tenta, Golga, the Shark. Hey, before Shark Boy, there was the Shark. Really, really great villainous talent. One of the first feuds I really was invested in was Hulk Hogan versus Earthquake. I recently watched his debut where he did that squash. You know what I'm talking about. Awesome. One of the best talents taken way too soon due to that bastard known as cancer. Wonderful. He's a legit sumo wrestler before this. And I guess he was one of the most gentle, polite, nice guys you could ever hope to meet. I wish I could have saw him one time. I got to meet Typhoon, his partner, though. But one of the best, big man. Number 8, Jake the Snake Roberts. Drugs and alcohol got in his way, but he was a really good talent, master of the DDT. He had a very, very tough life growing up, abused and molested and all that stuff. But you think of one of the most classic matches of all time is him versus the model Rick Martel in that mask match, the blindfold, whatever it's called. But he could captivate you. That DDT, no one did the DDT better than him, and one of the best. Number 7, we have Hot Rod Rowdy Piper. One of the best wrestlers of all time, cancer survivor. I was actually supposed to meet him at a show, and then he was, that week he was diagnosed with cancer and he had to cancel the event, which I completely understand. I'd love to be able to meet him one day and shake his hand. And one of the best wrestlers of all time. You want to talk about epic promos, look up any of his promos, man. You may not be able to understand half of it, but you understand it all in a way, because you know his conviction was unparalleled. But his talent was amazing. You know that Bad News Brown match? I mean, the Gold Dust match he had and I think it was 1996 at Mania. Was it 13? I don't know. But one of the best superstars. He's a real humble guy. Simple. Great superstar right there. Number 6. Ricky Steamboat. You know, you look at the matches he had with some Ric Flair, and you look at, of course, Macho Man Randy Savage, arguably in the top WrestleMania matches of all time. You know, an hour-long match, and it's captivating you every single minute. This guy could make amazing, amazing matches, and you could watch him over and over again, and you're still entertained. He could, you know, he's still involved with the WWE. He's helping out the new breed of talent. He's doing a wonderful job. I've always enjoyed him. He had a very unique style, awesome wardrobe, costumes, and he was a family man, a very honest guy. One of my favorite superstars of all time. Now we are in the top 5. If I can find it. I've got Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. Amazing talent. Perfect literally is the word to describe this guy. Forget WCW. Just remember him as Mr. Perfect. And, you know, you can watch any of his matches and it was perfection. This is what I could watch his matches just over and over again. One of the best talents. He's great on the mic, and he could really do it, man. He was one of the first wrestlers that was a bad guy that I was like, man, I really like this guy. You know, I'm not supposed to like bad guys, but he was just awesome. He's just so great at what he did, and gone way too soon. Way too soon. Getting a little emotional here. I mean, he's just one of my favorite superstars in the history of wrestling. Just an awesome, awesome talent. Number 4. The guy I've told a lot of people, this is my dad, Arn Anderson. One of the best. This guy, he didn't have a great tenure in WWE. He was part of the, Brainbusters. He got the tag belts for a minute and a half, and then they had to relinquish it. But man, his WCW career was sensational. One of the best minds in the business of all time. This guy, I have nothing but respect for him. I got nothing but respect for all these guys, but one of my favorite wrestlers. He was, same with Mr. Perfect, he was one of the first guys. I'm like, man, this guy is awesome. I'm not supposed to cheer for him. I'm like 5 years old, and I'm like, he's supposed to be a bad guy? I really like him. I don't understand why, but I mean, his moves are just amazing. He's just so interesting. It's so simple, but so interesting at the same time. That press, Luthez press, no one did it better than him. No one. One of the best wrestlers of all time. Watch an Arn Anderson match, you'll be entertained. Wonderful. All right, we are getting down to the nitty gritty. Number 3. The Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. In my opinion, the greatest big man of all time in pro wrestling. That's my opinion. You may disagree, but wonderful talent. This guy could move like nobody else. He was, as high as, almost 400 pounds at one time, and this guy could do a moonsault like you wouldn't believe. He could do cartwheels. You look at the different escalation of his weight and his career, and, he was still able to do so much amazing things. His life ended very early, unfortunately, but he was wonderful. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. unique. No one was like him. Nobody. And I remember just really enjoying his matches and just like, man, this is a big guy like me. Maybe I could do something like him. He gave me a lot of hope and inspiration to be a wrestler. But his athletic ability was just really amazing for his size. And he was pretty good on the mic too, but his talent was just really good. And he knew the basics, and he could take it to a next level. And one of the most agile big man of all time. All right, we're getting down to number 2. Ha 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 ha! The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. One of the first, like I said, one of the first bad guys that I was like, man, I love this guy. I remember one of my favorite matches is him versus Bret Hart. If you can watch it on the Bret Hart Best There Is, Best There Was, Best There Ever Will Be DVD. It's like a 7 or 10 minute match, and like 5 of it is Ted DiBiase stalling. It's hilarious. Like, no one stalled better than Ted DiBiase, and it wasn't boring. It was the heat that he got just from stalling was amazing. But his talent was awesome. He had one of the most unique characters ever. He's a rich guy, amazing body. Women loved him. Guys wanted to be him, and his talent was just sensational. One of the greatest superstars, in my opinion, of all time. Amazing on the mic, amazing in the ring. Guy had it all, and I cannot believe he did not have the strap. He had one of the best, awesome factions of all time, the $1 Million Corporation. That could have been pushed a lot better, but, whatever. Now we're down to number 1. Numero uno. I listed 24 people. I'm sure you could list 15 other people that you think should have been on the list too. Who, in my opinion, is the greatest superstar to never, ever have the title? The Rocket. The Black Heart, not the Nugget, Owen Hart. I don't know why I've identified with him so much my whole life, but he's one of my favorite superstars of all time. I love the Hart family. Bret Hart's probably my favorite wrestler of all time, but Owen Hart, he's got a little place, and I think every wrestling fan. One of the best wrestlers of all time. He's pretty good on the mic, but he was a